start by getting your injury news over the weekend. How's Paqueta?
Paqueta seems okay. He's trained most of the week. Unfortunately, we've still not got Dinos or Naif back. So that's our main injury problems at the moment.
We now know that this will be your final home game as manager. How are you feeling? What are the emotions like going into this weekend?
Well, it's the last game this season, I know that. And, you know, I'd hoped that we'd be pushing for Europe in this game. We're just dropped out of it, but we're still pushing for a strong finish in the Premier League. You know, to finish in the top 10 would be excellent for us. And really important, we win the game tomorrow.
Do you think it'll be an emotional day for you? What do you expect?
I'm not necessarily that type of person, but I'm looking forward to the game. I know it's a game that we want to bounce back from after last week. That's the most important thing for me.
Can I ask you, there's been a bit of criticism around how your departure has been managed. How do you feel it has been managed?
Look, there's a lot of things in football which can always be done much better. But look, I'm really comfortable with the situation. I'm comfortable with the board. So at the moment everything's fine. It's football.
Do you feel like you could take the club further? Like, did you want to stay on and complete the project?
Well, that was a decision I would have had to make with my family and talk about it, and we have done. I've been away for a long time now from my family, so this was always going to be a moment where I had to make a decision. But I think it's the right decision. I think it's the right decision for both parties. I think for myself and for the club, and we'll go our separate ways, having, which I believe, a really good 4.5 years.
And what next? Have you thought about what you might do? Would you like to stay and manage?
Yes, would be the answer to that. But first and foremost would be a break. I want a break from it. You know, when we started last year, we won the final on June the 7th, and we were back on the 1st of July to go to Australia. We had 3 weeks off last year. So if you look at the games, the amount of games we've played in the last couple of years, in the little time we've had of a break, and look, I strive to work as hard as I possibly can at every club, and I've tried to do that at West Ham as well. So there's been a lot of hours and a lot of effort. So the most important thing is to have a break, and that's what I'm going to have. But I'm looking forward to. I'm working for BBC in the Euros. I'm working for TalkSport. I'm working for UEFA. So I want to keep really involved in football. I really love football, and that's what I want to keep doing.
Thank you. Go on.
David, you said it's been a good 4.5 years, obviously, in your second
Well, I
spell
believe so.
at West Ham. No, absolutely, it has. I mean, but in your own words, how would you like to be remembered as West Ham manager?
I think someone who would be seen come in and done a job which was expected, which I always go back to, because stopping the club getting relegated the second time was really, really difficult. And you can see how football can change very quickly. And then we've become a European team, and now maybe expected to be a European team, which is some change even for the journalists in here who would speak to me regular from the days when they came watching a relegation side to a side which questions are mainly asked about, can you qualify for Europe? So I think we've done a really good job that way. I really do. I think we've built the club. I think there's a lot of stability at the club now. When you think you think maybe the criticism what was given out around the stadium here, I think there's a lot of that been quelled in the last 3 to 4 years.
I know you said you're not emotional. I mean, there will be a farewell lap for the players after the game tomorrow. Will you be joining them? Will there be perhaps an impromptu speech from yourself?
I can only tell you that most last games, I think the players would always want to give thanks to the supporters. I would be no different to that as well.
I interviewed Rob Edwards this week, and I asked him about yourself and the job that you've done at West Ham, and he was full of praise for you. How does it make you feel when managers like Rob and others, talk about the job that you've done here at West Ham, and even just generally your career, and give that praise to you?
Well, what I have to say is, I've done over 1,000 games. I've been in it a long time. I think there's only Sir Alex and I think there's only Arsene managed more Premier League games than me. So that's something to be quite proud of in some ways, because it means that I use the word longevity quite often. It means that people have thought that you're good enough to stay in the job. And I mentioned many times how many managers come into our league and come and go quite quickly. A lot of very good ones come and go very quickly. So I think to be at that level and do it so long in a league which we probably consider the best in the world, I'm quite pleased that that I've done that. But I hope that now I can give a lot back to younger managers. I'm keen on coach education. I'm keen on working with the coaching side of it and young managers, and I'm involved with the LMA. So there's a lot of things that hopefully later in life I can choose to do. But I'm not quite sure yet if I want to give up my whistle and my stopwatch.
And in terms of young managers, I mean, what have you made of the job that Rob Edwards has done, and how much of a battle are you expecting tomorrow, given the fact that for Luton this is a must-win game?
Well, Rob Edwards has done a brilliant job to be a young manager and navigate the Premier League. I think especially Luton, who had been out of it so long, and the way they came up and all the things to do with it, I think he's done a great job. He's got his team in with a chance. I've got to try and take it away from him this weekend. That's the nature of being in football. We can be good colleagues and we can be friends, which most managers are off the field. But when it gets down to that sort of 90 minutes, we've got to fight for everything we can for our own club.
And just finally for me, I mean, you mentioned fighting for everything. I mean, off the back of the result last weekend, what do you want to see from your team tomorrow?
I think you should probably ask the players that question. Sometimes it's the managers who get asked the question. Maybe the players need to be asked that question, what they think they need to do. I've told them what I think they need to do, but quite often they need to show exactly what they need to show, and I hope tomorrow we can do that.